recently there is a concept, there is a controversy rather of beef ban, especially in the state of Maharashtra. Okay, after the new government has come in, there is a ban on beef and beef products. Okay, so again, can you think of the repercussions for the in terms of the macro environment factors? What are the various repercussions? 360-degree repercussions बताइए beef ban का. Why I am asking these questions is because whenever you go for any kind of interview or conversation with anybody, whatever is in the realm of public knowledge, that can be asked to you as a general knowledge question and its repercussions. So who can comment on the, have you ever thought about this? It's been there in the news for the last week or so, more than that. Now the thing is, as a student of marketing, as a student of management, you should be able to have some opinion on this. Whether your opinions are agreed upon by the interviewer or not. If you don't have opinions, you basically lost in the interview. Interview is gone. You are out. Ek, do. Very insipid kind of class. Yes, last bench. Let's start with you.
Sir, as we are Indian and we worship our cow as a god, so we should not kill it, and most of the people in India are Hindus. If we go through the demographically, so in my opinion, we should, the ban is good.
Okay. So you're saying that since we worship
Cow as god.
okay, then the interviewer might ask you, then why do you allow the god to go to the garbage and also eat from the garbage?
There should be some restriction on it.
No, but your god is also going to the garbage and eating garbage also, no? You see very routinely. That doesn't hurt your sentiments. This has been asked to people. Where are your, what about your sentiments then?
And the other reason is it is not scientifically proven that we cannot go for human being.
Which scientific study are you quoting?
I heard.
Where have you heard it from?
Friend.
Tomorrow if somebody says, your customer says that I have heard that your product is not very good and competitor's product is good, you will...
So I will prove it, sir.
How will you prove? You don't have any statistics. Lies, damn lies and statistics. And if suppose, as a Hindu, are you doing all the things that Hindus are supposed to do? Do you know Sanskrit shlokas, Puranas, all of those? Then so isn't it selective, this thing? So as a Hindu, if somebody wants to eat beef because he thinks it is good in taste and is nutritious, Constitution guarantees him freedom of expression. So are you going to imprison him? Are you going to imprison him? No, I'm saying, in terms of repercussions, there's a freedom of speech repercussion. There's a case filed in the Supreme Court by Hindus, some Hindus saying that as a Hindu, I do like consuming beef and my rights should be violated. It should be available. And then there are a lot of communities, they eat beef as a normal nutrition. So are they supposed to be deported to some other place? Or are they supposed to change their dietary restrictions?
No, sir.
Then?
But the majority part in India, if we go to demographically, most of the people live in India are Hindu.
So if the majority of Britain is white, then all the blacks should be driven away. If the majority of Africans is Africans and the Indians who are working there from India are to be driven away then.
Not about to driven away or throw them out of the country. I'm talking about the religions which we are following.
So suppose the dietary habits of Indians living in a particular part, say Boston or Japan. Japan, for example, Indians don't get any vegetarian food.
Korea is worst part.
Korea, Japan, etc. So, but when they come to India, they also consume chapatis. So when you go to Japan, you should also have sushi.
So if you don't have any options,
You should have, no? So what is a better way? Allow everything to be bought and sold, free market economics. So does this particular beef ban violate free market economics?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's restricting.
Is it harmful from the legal point of view, from the economic, social, cultural point of view? Does it harm the image of the country abroad and so on and so forth?
It will decrease the revenue of foreign ministry.
Exactly. So but what I'm trying to say is you should be able to appreciate a debate 360 degrees.
Yes, sir.
Always. Okay?
But
So,
sir, also there are
the answer that you gave was a personal answer. Always avoid giving a personal answer. I think. Have I asked you what you think? Have I asked you what are the various repercussions of this particular debate or this particular controversy? Repercussions, मतलब 360 degree आपको बोलना है. There is this aspect, there is this aspect. Who has asked you your own judgment on it? Don't rush giving in your judgments. Okay? You might lose a debate that way. First try to look at 360 degree क्या repercussions. Then again if he says that India has the highest amount of livestock across all countries in the world. So we can have very good leather exports and we can be number one in leather exports given that the export sector is doing so badly. No sir, we worship. Then why do you eat chicken? Then chicken is also you. We don't worship it therefore. And then it can get into, and then there was this bird flu controversy where chickens were also found to be whatever,
and also swine flu also.
Swine flu also. So swine flu is there, so bird flu is also there.
So the Japanese and all these countries also banned this one. They are eating.
For a limited period of time. Then after the controversy dies down, it comes. But is it because of health reason that it is being banned?
So it is also possible in India, sir. After the government change, the government can also start.
But on the in peace times, when there is no health issue, is the ban being justified in the legal? Because Vodafone has challenged the tax, this thing on the legal grounds, right? Natural justice. Mandated आप नहीं कर सकते tax. So based on legal, this thing is also constitutional, legal way, this is also a controversial topic and so on. So the issue is that the perception of people who are basically wanting to do business in India can change based on ad hoc decisions. Okay? So that is what we are discussing about the legal environment in the country and so on. So as far as the social cultural and legal में हम लोग beef ban का example ले सकते हैं. Then social class. Basically social class लिखा है क्या यहाँ पे? It comes under social cultural environment का ही part है. Somebody talked about when nano car was being discussed, lower class. So who can define a social class? Any student of humanities, economics, sociology का कोई student है यहाँ पे? BA sociology, BA economics. No. How is social class defined? How do you define a social class? Do you think that classes exist in society, or everybody is of same class? Karl Marx, class struggle. The entire theory of Karl Marx is about class struggle, no? There are different classes in society. How do you define a social class? We have socio-economic classification, marketing, SEC, A, B, C, D. A is the elite classes, higher income classes. So based on income you can classify. Is it only income? A person who's, for example, this Balewadi gaon only or Aspas ka, who has sold his acres to a builder, but he's a very humble person. When he goes to a 5-star restaurant, would he be comfortable or would he be awkward? He'll be awkward, na? So has it got only to do with money, or is it something else also? Give me a one-line definition. How do you define social class? These are all marketing questions, all related to these. Social class is defined as, so people who belong to a particular social class share mutual interests.
So it is defined as per the distribution of income.
Okay. Distribution income, shared interests, similar lifestyles. What social class would you consider yourself to belong to? I'm sorry? Student. Is student a social class?
No, sir.
I'm asking you only. Is student a social class? In your definition, you have not said profession. But in your answer, you have said profession. Student is profession, na? Housewife, shopkeeper, student, lawyer, chartered accountant. These are professions, na? So all chartered accountants belong to a similar class. All students belong to a similar class. ऐसे इंटरव्यू ऐसे चलेगा, प्यार से, वो प्यार मोहब्बत से वो हमसे वार्तालाप करेंगे और आप बोलेंगे कितना देर तो मैंने बात किया, फिर मुझे लिया क्यों नहीं उसने? क्योंकि आप एनालिटिकल नहीं थे. एनालिसिस मतलब support your argument with logical reasoning. That is analysis. You should be able to support your arguments with logical reasoning. लॉजिकल रीजनिंग से अगर आप अपने आप को सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. जैसे उन्होंने बोला मुझे नहीं लगता है, मुझे नहीं लगता है, ये लॉजिकल रीजनिंग नहीं है. फिर क्यों नहीं लगता है कहा, मैंने उनको बोला कि अगर जिसको आप वर्शिप करते हैं वो कचरे में जा रहा है तो वहां पे प्रिटेंड नहीं करते आप गॉड कचरे में जा रहा है. बहुत सारे इंडियंस को बाहर जब जाते हैं तो यही सवाल पूछा जाता है. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन विल बी आस्क्ड, जिसको आप वर्शिप करते हैं वो तो गार्बेज में कचरा खा रहा है, तब आपका सेंटिमेंट हर्ट नहीं हो रहा है, तो आप लोग हिपोक्रेट हो, तो कुछ नहीं बोल पाते. ऐसा ना. तो आर्ग्यूमेंटेशन को और आपको क्या बोलते हैं, शार्प करना पड़ेगा, और शार्प. You are not a activist of a religious group. You are a student who is going to handle finances, who is going to run companies, who is going to have people under you. Okay? You are not a shallow this thing कि ये बैन करो, वो बैन करो, ये ट्रक चला दो, ये बस को आग लगा दो. You are not a street thug. You are not studying here to be street thugs. You are studying to be analytical people who can convince a group of educated people or customers that this is worth doing, that is not worth doing. Okay? And therefore these kind of discussions. Yes, social class. I'll tell you how social class is defined. Income, occupation, location of residence, lifestyle, all of these put together. So your answers are right. You just have to be confident giving them. It's a combination of all of these. So people who belong to a certain income gravitate towards certain activities. Okay, so people who basically earn a very high amount of income, they might also be members of various clubs, Pune Club and Rotary Club and all of that. And they would want to probably, they would also maybe share interests like golf, playing golf, and so on and so forth. They would also be vacationing abroad regularly. Okay? So a Shah Rukh Khan goes to vacation with, what is that, Hrithik Roshan's wife's name? Suzanne. And what is that, Arjun Rampal and his wife. So they go together. Okay? So probably he would probably not socialize with, let's say, I don't know, some other actor which he probably does not consider him as his own social class. Say he would not go with Anurag Kashyap or Nawazuddin Siddiqui. So probably they probably would not share the same interests. I'm saying that. So certain people might want to go to a, say, theatre festival. Certain people might want to go to a mall for entertainment. So the thing is, social class is important because people of a certain social class might have certain behavioral characteristics which might be important for marketers, for segmentation. Okay? That is why social class is important. Then, so always these statistics that are published by NCAER, National Council of Applied and Economic Research, etc., which gives a survey of Indian households का buying characteristics, behavior characteristics. Almost 1 lakh का survey करते हैं वो लोग, NCAER. वो surveys marketing के point of view से firms के लिए बहुत important है. So many firms buy these reports as to how the Indian consumer feels, thinks, etc. So in market research, we have panel surveys. We also have market surveys. So both of these type of surveys, they are very, very valuable. So if a company can't institute their own survey, they buy various surveys which are available. Okay? And they give a lot of things which probably you sitting in an air-conditioned cabin and conjecturing about who my customer is or kya karta hoga is not available to you. Otherwise, you institute your own market survey, which is an expensive activity. Again, okay. Then the economic environment. Currently, the economic environment in India, क्या है आपको मालूम होना चाहिए. Agriculture occupies 20-25% of the GDP. Manufacturing occupies another similar 20-25% of the GDP. The bulk of it is occupied by services sector. So India has moved from an agricultural economy to a service-oriented economy, and more or less the manufacturing part of it has been bypassed almost. And this has been the unfortunate part. Whenever you look at any economy, वो agricultural से manufacturing में आते हैं, manufacturing से फिर services में जाते हैं, जो कि एल्बर्ट टॉफलर के 3 waves के बारे में उसने बात किया है. हंटर गैदरर से एग्रीकल्चरल, एग्रीकल्चरल से मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग से नॉलेज इकोनॉमी. सो इंडिया में लास्ट 60s, 70s, 80s में 3 decades में हम लोग ने मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को बिल्कुल निग्लेक्ट किया था बिकॉज ऑफ आवर लीगल एनवायरनमेंट, एंड सो मच सो दैट चाइना हैज बीन एबल टू कंप्लीटली ऑक्यूपाई दैट पर्टिकुलर niche in the world. So everybody looks at China as a hub for manufacturing, and many other Southeast Asian countries. So India has somehow lost out on manufacturing. So all the land that is available from agriculture point of view, that is being sold to the malls. A classic example would be in Parel, where Ambani bought that particular land and made it into a Reliance mall. What was it doing? Mills था पहले, Century का mills था. So textile, हमारा for thousands of years India has been good at textile manufacturing. और वो particular हमारा जो niche था, वो हमारा जो land है, so they became 6 units and they were given to the malls. So basically malls क्या कर रहे हैं? They're services, retail. So manufacturing sector has more or less been bypassed. So this is something that you should be able to speak. कि इंडिया में 60s, 70s, 80s में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर का बिल्कुल एब्जेक्ट निग्लेक्ट किया गया है बिकॉज ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज, एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ विच चाइना के फॉरवर्ड थिंकिंग पॉलिसीज के वजह से लेबर प्रोडक्टिविटी उन्होंने वो ऑक्यूपाई किया जो इंडिया का निश था, एंड मेड इन इंडिया बेसिकली बिकेम अ वेरी वेरी मच अब्यूज्ड ब्रांड इन द वर्ल्ड. So China is already making what India wanted to make. Another aspect in the legal and socio-economic environment you have to see is the Indian policy of import substitution industrialization. You should be also be able to use this particular term. ISI was the strategy of India, that whatever is being imported from abroad, over a period of time, Indian manufacturers should develop the technology to manufacture it within our country, hoping that over a period of time हम लोग को import नहीं करना पड़ेगा और हमारा valuable foreign exchange conserve हो जाएगा. इसको बोलते हैं ISI strategy. Indira Gandhi's time, 1970s and 80s, this was the government of India's stated position on industrial policy. Import, substitution, industrialization. However, it did not really succeed because the cost of imports were the machinery that wanted to be that was to be installed for export-oriented units, that itself was prohibitively expensive, and the ISI strategy did not really work for us. Plus, the restrictive policies regarding FERA, Foreign Exchange Restrictions Act, Regulations Act, that also prevented foreign players from taking a majority stake in our companies. So why would they transfer technology if they were not given a majority stake? So because of the industrial policy that we had, the 2 decades before the 1990s resulted in Indian industry being completely becoming irrelevant in the world. So much so that any product which was made in India earned a very bad reputation in the world. And somehow the Indian consumers also subscribe to this policy that something is made in India, something made in India is going to be a jugaad kind of product. It's going to be a chalta hai kind of product. So when you go to buy a bulb also, if he says Bajaj ka bulb hai, Philips ka bulb hai, you would probably go for a Philips bulb. So it's again a perception also. You feel Philips looks like a bahar ka product, Bajaj looks like our own homegrown Munimji businessman. No, I will go for this one. So the Indian consumer also, though both the bulbs are priced at same, but I will probably go for this thing. So my refrigerator is also manufactured by Godrej and Videocon, but I would rather go for a Samsung or LG. Not giving a chance to our Mr. Godrej and Mr. Venugopal Dud. So post 1990s, after opening up, the consumer is king. The consumer decides whether I want to buy Samsung or LG. The government does not impose restrictions on Samsung LG because it is making Godrej and Videocon bleed. In this new era, it became very, very important for marketers to understand that no longer is it going to be seller's market. It is all going to be buyer's market. So post 90s has truly resulted in the Indian market being a seller's market. Buyer's market. The buyer's market में क्या होता है? The buyer dominates. So today I basically go to Flipkart and I see that well, Asus का ये particular phone अगर इतने में बिक रहा है, I go to Amazon. वो कम में दे रहा है, I reject Flipkart, I go to Amazon. आओ Amazon, तुम आ जाओ. So buyer is dominating. So when the buyer dominates in the market, the buyer asserts himself. That is called as the buyer's market. For a long time in India, we used to have the seller's market concept, 70s and 80s. So there was a paradigm shift in the environmental factors, macro environmental factors from the 1980s to the 1990s. And most Indian manufacturers, marketers had to grapple with this reality. And many of them, they basically fell by the wayside because they were not capable only. If आप सिर्फ पोटैटो चिप्स खाते खाते आप पूरा टाइम बिता रहे हो फॉर 2 महीने 5 महीने और सडनली आपके ऑफिस ने बोला चलो क्रिकेट मैच खेलने जाएंगे, वहां पे जाके आप हाफते रहोगे ना, आप क्या बॉलिंग करोगे और क्या बैटिंग करोगे वन फाइन डे. तो कंडीशनिंग तो होना चाहिए. वन फाइन डे सडनली नरसिम्हा सेड चलो ओपनिंग अप एंड देन राहुल बजाज and Tata and everybody else had to face the competition from abroad. And that is basically why the thumbs ups and the gold spots and the limcas had to be sold off to Coca-Cola, and many of the products and services they had to be either sold off. So this is all well known macroeconomic factors. So today we are working in 20-25 years ho gaya liberalization okay. Okay, so this is enough time for the Indian people, Indian manufacturers to basically stabilize. Services mein Indians have found that with our skill set and all we'll be able to compete with the best in the world. Manufacturing mein we will not be able to compete with the best in the world. It's more or less a foregone conclusion. So we will be able to compete in small and medium enterprises, we will try to do the best. But in high-tech industries, our Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has still not been able to produce a engine that can basically, produce a Boeing or a Airbus. So import substitution industrialization has not really worked for us to that extent. Also Russia के साथ जो हमारा deal था, that the Russians will supply us technology and we will try to more or less, because we are also following the command economy, they are also following the protected economy, we will go. That also basically did not work for us because of communism collapse in Russia. So the macroeconomic factors in Russia also made India go for the US, enterprises like, or the US dominated bodies like IMF and World Bank. And that's a reality. So today IMF and World Bank policies and the WTO policies are what dictate Indian macroeconomic factors. We are no longer a protected economy like what probably Venezuela was, or what Colombia was, or North Korea is. We used to be similar to that, but no longer so. So today, a Bajaj or a Mahindra cannot take shelter under the policies that, वो लोग आके कैसे आप allow कर रहे हो? You can't erect non-tariff barriers. NTBs आप erect नहीं कर सकते हैं under WTO. So protectionist regime is gone. whichever government is in power today in India, because we don't have the financial muscle, because we owe a lot of money to the World Bank and IMF, and we have to pay interest on that. So unless we adhere to their norms, which are basically set by the multinational corporations, we will not be able to pay off our commitments to the international agencies. That is the economic reality under which the country functions, whether you like it or not. Whether whatever jingoistic things you say that हम लोग ये पोखरण करेंगे वो करेंगे, ultimately the economic reality is that we need the IMF and World Bank and their policies to survive. Okay? So this is basically the macroeconomic reality. Then the other thing is environmental factors specific to the business. This is generally macroeconomic factors. There are certain factors that are specific to our business. So if you are working in, let's say, the education business, certain macroeconomic factors, certain things in the finance minister's budget become relevant to you more than others. Like for example, अगर आप coaching class में काम कर रहे हैं, तो finance minister ने service tax बढ़ा दिया है. Service tax अगर बढ़ा दिया है तो आपका फीस बढ़ जाएगा. तो अप्रैल 1 से अगर आप फीस सेट करना चाहते हैं तो आपको बच्चों को ज्यादा चार्ज करना पड़ेगा फीस. तो ये सब फीस जो है आपको कस्टमर को पास ऑन करना है. तो कस्टमर को अगर आपने हायर फीस पास ऑन किया तो कस्टमर अगर आपके पास नहीं आ रहा है बिकॉज आपने फीस ज्यादा चार्ज किया, आपका कॉम्पिटिटर आपको अंडरकट करने के लिए उसने फीस नहीं बढ़ाया, तो आपका बिजनेस जाएगा. तो एट अ स्ट्रेटेजिक लेवल आपको देखना पड़ेगा हाउ दीज मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर्स अफेक्ट मी. ओके, सो इसके लिए हम लोग वी डू व्हाट इज नोन एज अ MIS हम लोग मेंटेन करते हैं. ओके, मार्केटिंग इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम्स. You all have gone through it, right? MIS, थोड़ा बहुत. Okay, what is MIS and so on and so forth. So I am not getting into that much detail, but so based on this, so what are the factors that are relevant to the environment factors specific to the business concern? Right on. First, market demand. Market demand. A very good example of this would be मिड 90s का अच्छा एग्जांपल हम लोग ले सकते हैं मार्केट डिमांड को समझने के लिए. मार्केट डिमांड में होता है नेचर ऑफ द डिमांड, साइज ऑफ द डिमांड, चेंजेस टेकिंग प्लेस इन द डिमांड, invasion of substitute products, and changes taking place in the consumption or buying habits of people. Okay, so एक एग्जांपल आप इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर से ले सकते हैं, एक एग्जांपल आप कंजम्पशन सेक्टर से ले सकते हैं. जैसे इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर्स का अच्छा एग्जांपल होगा स्टील. 1997-98 में स्टील अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया लिमिटेड के पास बहुत ज्यादा एक्सेस इन्वेंट्री था, बिकॉज लिबरलाइजेशन के बाद उन्होंने एस्टिमेट किया कि मार्केट ओपनिंग होगा और हम लोग ज्यादा ऑर्डर्स मिलेगा हमको, तो उन्होंने पुराने टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज करते हुए उन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा इन्वेंट्री क्रिएट कर दिया. अभी पोस्ट 90s जिंदल स्टील, टाटा स्टील एटसेट्रा ने उन्होंने नया टेक्नोलॉजी के हिसाब से लोअर कॉस्ट पर यूनिट उन्होंने स्टील प्रोड्यूस किया और मार्केट में वो लोग ने उनका जो टेक्नोलॉजी था दैट वाज मच बेटर देन सेल्स. सो सेल वाज सैडल्ड विद सो मच ऑफ इन्वेंटरी व्हिच दे कुड नॉट डंप ऑन टू एनीबॉडी इन द मार्केट. So they were looking for avenues of dumping it somewhere else in the world. Otherwise, the company would basically be saddled with so much losses. So typically, अगर आपने demand estimation ठीक से नहीं किया और समझा नहीं demand को, so you are doomed. So the most important thing in marketing is demand forecasting. वहाँ से शुरू होता है marketing का पूरा. So अगर आप दुकान खोल रहे हैं, business खोल रहे हैं, होटल खोल रहे हैं, so आपको पहले demand forecast करना पड़ेगा. That's one of the foremost tasks. That's one. Second is consumer. Earlier, sellers market में क्या होता था? आप प्रोडक्ट को लेके आ रहे मार्केट में और वो बिक जाता था. कैसे बिकता था, कंज्यूमर कौन है, इसके बारे में कोई डिस्कशन की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती थी. So बजाज का चेतक स्कूटर, राहुल बजाज बोलता था देखो 6 महीने के बाद डिलीवरी मिलेगा, लेकिन और थोड़ा जल्दी अगर डिलीवरी चाहिए तो थोड़ा फॉरेन एक्सचेंज में पैसा दो. तो अगर आपके कोई रिलेटिव बाहर काम करे तो फिर फॉरेन एक्सचेंज में आप थोड़ा डॉलर देके बजाज को और फिर वो बोलेगा हाँ आपको मिलेगा. कंज्यूमर कौन है, कंज्यूमर क्यों खरीदता है, कंज्यूमर का नीड्स एंड वांट्स क्या है, वो कोई जरूरत नहीं है सोचने का। आज राहुल बजाज ऐसे काम नहीं कर सकता है, ऐसा तो आज उसको सोचना पड़ेगा बाइक क्यों खरीदता है, कौन खरीदता है, कितने में खरीदेगा, क्या चाहिए, पावर चाहिए, माइलेज चाहिए, स्टाइलिंग चाहिए, पिकअप चाहिए, कौन से कलर में देना है, क्या क्या फीचर्स देना है, ये सोचना पड़ेगा। और कितने में वो खरीदेगा, कौन है ये जो 125 सीसी एंड अबव खरीदता है, क्या चाहिए उसको लाइफ में, क्या नीड्स एंड वांट्स है उस कस्टमर के, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा। तो ये सोचना पड़ा उसको। सिर्फ हमारा बजाज बोल के नहीं बेच सकता है। आज बजाज का एड्स में हमारा बजाज स्वदेशी बोल के वो बेच नहीं सकता है। 90s में उसने स्वदेशी के बेसिस पे बेचा हमारा बजाज बोल के। तो आज हमारा बजाज बोलने से वो लोग बोलेंगे हमारा होंडा, बिकॉज जो बच्चा खरीद रहा है वो पोस्ट लिबरलाइजेशन का बच्चा है, उसने सांस लिया है पोस्ट लिबरलाइजेशन इंडिया में। उसको बजाज के साथ कोई पुराना जवाहरलाल नेहरू टाइप का वो लिंकेज नहीं है। नेशन बिल्डिंग में जवाहरलाल बजाज ने क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन दिया था, वो अलग टाइप के सोचता है। Yes or no? So the advertising campaigns also will have to undergo change. So that is the second thing, the consumer taste and preference, how it keep changing. Third, the industry. Industry analysis will serve as a groundwork for strategy formulation. Any industry that you are in, the moment you decide to basically sell a particular product, you are part of that industry, whether you like it or not. Okay? And all the people in that industry have to get permissions, X, Y, Z permissions, you have to get their permissions. There is a cost of getting those permissions. All the people in that industry will have to employ people of a certain kind of training. You will also have to appoint, you will have to also give market rates to them. All the people in that industry will have to pay certain amount of taxes, excise taxes, customs taxes, etc. You will also have to pay, otherwise you will be behind bars. So automatically being in a particular industry determines the cost structure of your firm. Okay. Now, if that is the cost structure in the firm, why will people buy you and not somebody else? Why will people buy a Suzuki and not a Mahindra? Why will people buy a Mahindra and not a Honda? Why will people buy a Ford and not a Chevrolet? Why will people buy a Chevrolet and not a Nissan? Everybody needs a budget, everybody has chartered accountants, everybody can design a good cost structure. So doing business in a competitive scenario, competition, एक कहावत है competition के बारे में, competition is like chastity, morality. Everybody advocates it, कितना अच्छा है, but nobody practices it. Ideal scenario क्या होगा? आप एक मशीन गन लेके सब कॉम्पिटिटर को आप ध्वंस करके आप अकेले मोनोपोली की तरह काम करोगे. That is the ideal scenario that any marketer would like. कितना अच्छा होता अगर आपके कोई कॉम्पिटिटर नहीं होते और आप ही अकेले, कितना अच्छा होता. IIM अकेला होता, इंदिरा नहीं होता, बालाजी नहीं होता, कोई नहीं होता, कितना अच्छा होता. डोमिनोज के लिए कितना अच्छा होता अगर पिज्जा हट नहीं होता, पिज्जा एक्सप्रेस नहीं होता, स्मोकिंग जोन नहीं होता, कोई खाली गोलकीपर है, ठीक है, मार के आ जाते हैं. आइडियल सिनेरियो फॉर एनी दिस थिंग. हाउएवर मॉडर्न बिजनेसेस में कोल्यूजन नहीं है, या एटलीस्ट मान के चल रहा है कि कोल्यूजन नहीं है. सो डोमिनोज भी वही कंज्यूमर को टारगेट कर रहा है और स्मोकिंग जोन्स भी वही कंज्यूमर को टारगेट कर रहा है. डोमिनोज बोल रहा है कि एक के साथ एक फ्री, वो स्मोकिंग जोन्स बोल रहा है कितना थिन क्रस्ट पिज्जा है, ओरिजिनल है. वो बोल रहा है नया फ्लेवर, वो बोल रहा है और नया फ्लेवर, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. सो ये गेम आपको खेलना पड़ेगा. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, जब आप किसी भी इंडस्ट्री में जाओगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली आपका कंपटीशन डिफाइंड हो जाएगा और आपको क्या गेम खेलना है ये भी ऊपर से डिफाइन होके आएगा. दिस इज द गेम दैट यू हैव टू प्ले. Okay, so that is the second important thing regarding the industry factors. And therefore the कितना factors हुआ? 3 factors. चौथा है competition, जिसके ऊपर माइकल पोर्टर ने बहुत सारा बात किया है competitive strategy के ऊपर. Competition analysis. As I said, competition is like chastity. Nobody preaches it or nobody practices it. Everybody preaches it, but nobody would like to practice it. In this context, you can also remember the concept of Bombay Club. After liberalization, Rahul Bajaj and many of the industrialists, they were part of the Bombay Club, which advocated that the government should give them protection. The government should not allow foreign players to come here and deny us a level playing field. उन्होंने बोला level playing field होना चाहिए. अगर suppose field ऐसा sloping है और फिर एक टीम अगर आराम से गोल कर सकता है और हमारे लिए ऊंचा है, हम लोग नहीं जा सकते, तो many Indian businessmen were part of this Bombay Club. They asked for protection. Okay? तो जब बिजनेस डेलीगेशन जाता है प्राइम मिनिस्टर के साथ किसी और कंट्री में, तो आजकल आप देखेंगे वो बंद हो गया है. एक जमाने में 1990s में जब बिजनेस डेलीगेशन जाते थे प्राइम मिनिस्टर के साथ, तो बेसिकली गवर्नमेंट को ये ऐसे पॉलिसी बनाने बोलते थे जहां पे उनको बेटर डील मिले वीजा वी देयर अदर. दैट मींस आप इंपोर्ट ड्यूटीज बढ़ा दो. आज भी कार मार्केट में भी अगर आप देखेंगे कंप्लीटली नॉक डाउन यूनिट्स के ऊपर बहुत हाई कस्टम ड्यूटी है. 100, 150, 200% ड्यूटी है. तो अगर कोई फ्रेंच कार मैन्युफैक्चरर फ्रांस से अगर कोई कंप्लीटली नॉक डाउन यूनिट आके असेंबल करना चाहता है, उसके ऊपर बहुत हाई ड्यूटीज है. क्यों? बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया बोलता है कि इंडिया के अंदर अगर आप कंपोनेंट्स वगैरह सोर्स करोगे तो एम्प्लॉयमेंट तो मिलेगा. अगर आप पूरा का पूरा यूनिट लेके आओगे और यहाँ पे डिस्मेंटल करके ये असेंबल करोगे, तो फिर हमको क्या मिल रहा है? एम्प्लॉयमेंट. तो आपको बहुत ज्यादा टैक्स देना पड़ेगा, इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी ऑन सर्टेन यूनिट्स. इसीलिए यूरोपियन कंपनीज बहुत सारे अभी तक इंडिया में आए नहीं. सो कंपटीशन को आपको किस तरह से दूर रखना है. अगर सपोज गवर्नमेंट यूरो के साथ डील करता है और फिर टाटा और महिंद्रा बिल्कुल आउट ऑफ द मार्केट हो जाता है, कंपटीशन कैन चेंज बिकॉज ऑफ XYZ फैक्टर्स. So today in the market at a strategic level there can be lot of things that can affect your business, and therefore you have to keep your eyes and ears close to the ground, right? So that is basically the aspect of competition. यहाँ पे माइकल पोर्टर्स का मॉडल would be a good thing to have a look at. So the next point is, fifth point is government policies. There are many infrastructure policies, like Odisha में POSCO का डील है, वेदांता का डील है. They are all dependent on the environment ministry's clearance. If you remember in the UPA government, when Rahul Gandhi went to Niyamgiri Hills and promised the tribals out there कि मैं तुम्हारे साथ हूँ, whereas Jayant Natarajan के ऊपर as an environment minister there was a pressure to clear that deal. बिकॉज इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट होगा और वेदांता ने ऑलरेडी फैक्ट्री बना के रखा था. सिर्फ जो हिल्स में जो एरिया था वहां पे वो लोग एक्सपैंड करना चाहते थे और ट्राइबल्स को बेसिकली वहां से निकालने की बात थी. सो शुड द गवर्नमेंट गोइंग फॉर डेवलपमेंट और शुड दे गोइंग फॉर अ काइंड ऑफ सस्टेनेबल इंक्लूसिव मॉडल? दिस अगेन इज अ कंसर्न फॉर लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल, वेदर इन ऑस्ट्रेलिया व्हिच इज अ माइनिंग एरिया और वेदर इन प्लेसेस इन इंडिया लाइक गोवा एंड ऑल व्हिच इज अ माइनिंग रीजन. अभी गोवा में अगर आप एंटर करेंगे तो पूरा 4 लेन हाईवे बन रहा है, पूरा पहाड़ को काट काट के. सो डेवलपमेंट शुड विन और इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ. सो दिस इज बेसिकली अगेन अनदर फैक्टर. सो दिस इज द गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज. एंड द सिक्स्थ वन इज सप्लायर रिलेटेड फैक्टर्स. Supplier related factors. Because suppliers have their own bargaining power. Okay, so if I am the only supplier, then I have more bargaining power. So the online model has come, which is basically trying to reduce the supplier bargaining power. In retailing, if you look at retailing का सबसे ज़्यादा business schools में, in the early 2000s retailing came into the syllabus. and the various theories we used to teach in the subject basically said that manufacturer brands का प्राइवेट लेवल ब्रांड्स के साथ टसल हो रहा है. प्राइवेट लेवल ब्रांड्स के पास क्या है? शेल्फ लाइफ, I'm sorry, not shelf life, shelves है. एंड मैन्युफैक्चरर ब्रांड्स के पास क्या है? पावर ऑफ एडवर्टाइजिंग. सो आज क्या हो रहा है? मैन्युफैक्चरर ब्रांड्स को बेसिकली रिटेलिंग आउटलेट्स में अगर अपना प्रोडक्ट अगर डिस्प्ले करना है, ओके, सो अगर हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर को कॉफी डिस्प्ले करना है या उसको मसाला डिस्प्ले करना है, तो उसको बिग बाजार के साथ डील करना पड़ेगा. सर प्लीज हमको अच्छा शेल्फ में जगह दो. लेकिन ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम कुछ प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए ऑनलाइन मार्केटिंग आने की वजह से दे आर नॉट मोहताज एट द हैंड्स ऑफ प्राइवेट लेवल ब्रांड्स. सो रिटेलिंग में हमेशा एक थियरी है, थीसिस, एंटीथीसिस एंड सिंथेसिस. सो थीसिस एंड एंटीथीसिस. तो एक बिजनेस मॉडल आता है मॉम एंड पॉप स्टोर्स, ओके, सुपरमार्केट मॉडल, और दूसरा आता है डिपार्टमेंटल स्टोर. So supermarket model is discounting model, departmental store is, lot of sales people showing you around, etc. So higher cost. And then you have a synthesis hypermarket, which is a combination of supermarket and departmental store. So you'll always find that in a this thing. So because of competition, you'll always find, in fact, retailing का जो model है, supermarket model, it came during the early Great Depression, 1930s में आया था, because वहाँ पे people could not afford a lot of HR in their stores. So mom and pop stores ने उन्होंने क्या बोला कि ट्रॉली लेके आप ही देखो क्या चाहिए आपको और फिर काउंटर पे आके पे करो. So because of the economic pressures in the 1930s, they came up with this model of supermarket. So हमेशा macroeconomic environment forces businesses to do innovation. इंडिया के अंदर अभी क्या इनोवेशन कर रहे हैं मैन्युफैक्चरर्स और क्या उसका नतीजा निकल रहा है, वो एक क्वेश्चन मार्क है. We'll see. So this is basically the related to environment factors related to the business. The third important point of discussion. So we have covered two basic topics. One is the macroeconomic factors and the other is environment factors specific to any business. The third important topic is marketing information system. Okay. Generally, you should be able to answer questions on what are the advantages of an MIS system, why an MIS system is needed in an organization, and what are the limitations of an MIS system. So ये तीन चीजें आपको बताते आना चाहिए. Most of you would have gone through it. If suppose he asks you what is MIS, आपको हम लोग हमारी कंपनी में एमआईएस पे लगाने वाले हैं, आप बता सकते हैं आपको क्या पता है एमआईएस के बारे में, तो बताते आना चाहिए. बेसिक क्वेश्चन. कौन बताएगा? कौन बताना चाहेगा एमआईएस क्या है? पीछे अमिताभ बच्चन. यस. एमआईएस. Don't touch your nose. Touching your nose means you are not, whatever you are going to say is going to be discredited. पहले nose touch किया मतलब my God, ये क्या हो रहा है मेरे साथ? Okay. Yes, please. MIS, yourself.
Management information system. It is the modern technology through which like in an organization, the information are basically passed through it, and it is quite expensive. So and it is not easy to install.
Okay, you focused on the limitations of MIS, but what is the benefit of MIS?
Benefit, like quick information you can get at the right time, at the right place, and at the right use.
Correct. So, with respect to marketing, what kind of information would you want to have at your fingertips?
Like what is the current trend in the market?
Okay.
And what are the expectations demand from the
Could we take an example? Would you like to illustrate this with an example of some industry where, say, what industry are you going to do your summers in?
Probably this is media.
Media industry, very good. So, take an example. Any particular firm? Which firm?
NVIDIA.
No, firm. Any particular name of a company?
Business standards.
Business Standard. Business Standard में अगर आप काम कर रहे हैं and you are part of the marketing team, what are the things that you would like to be as part of your MIS that key decision makers should have access to? किन किन चीजों के ऊपर आप इंफॉर्मेशन रखना चाहोगे अपने डेटाबेस में ताकि वो हेल्प करें? फुल फॉर्म क्या है MIS का? हाँ, बट यहाँ पे मार्केटिंग के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हम लोग मार्केटिंग इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम बोल रहे हैं उसको, ठीक है? सो मैनेजमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम इज जनरली फॉर द एंटायर कंपनी, बट फॉर मार्केटिंग वी आर कॉलिंग इट एज मार्केटिंग इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम. सो बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड में अगर आपको बोला कि एक MIS का एक ड्राइंग बोर्ड पे एक टेबल बना के दो, क्या क्या चीजें इकट्ठा करना जरूरी है, तो क्या होगा आपका समर इंटर्नशिप प्रोजेक्ट में रिपोर्ट? किन किन चीजों के ऊपर आप ध्यान देंगे? करंट ट्रेंड क्या चल रहा है, किसमें किसमें? Okay. In what field? Innovation in the market in what field? Space research? What? But why is business standard going to be interested in what happens in some other field? Aviation technology में क्या अच्छा हो रहा है और ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्ट्री क्या क्या कर रहा है, उससे बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड का क्या बेनिफिट होगा? क्या है बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड, क्या है? कस्टमर कौन है उसके? जो लोग बिजनेस के बारे में जानकारी रखना चाहते हैं, so anybody who invests in the stock markets would also like to read business standard. Anybody who's a student wanting to face interviews would like to read business standard. Anybody who basically is interested in knowing the trends, what is happening in society and wants to be updated generally, not even an investor would like to read business standard. Who are the existing competitors? So existing competitors कौन है और potential customers और कौन कौन बना सकते हैं हम लोग? ओके, क्या स्कूल में हम लोग बिजनेस क्विज वगैरह कंडक्ट कर सकते हैं क्या? क्या हम लोग कस्टमर बेस इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं क्या? 8वीं 10वीं के बच्चों को अगर बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड अगर आपने पढ़ने में अगर इंटरेस्टेड करवा दिया और भी अच्छा है, तो बहुत सारी चीजें कर सकते हैं ना आप. ओके, तो इस मार्केटिंग डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड में अगर आप काम कर रहे हैं तो आपको किन किन चीजों का इंफॉर्मेशन करंट अपडेटेड रखना चाहिए. इस लिहाज से आप उन चीजों के ऊपर लोग रखेंगे जो उसको डेटा मेंटेन करेंगे और जब जरूरत पड़ा आप उसको एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. ओके, न्यूज़पेपर रीडरशिप सर्वेज, NRS सर्वेज के बारे में. ओके, एडवर्टाइजिंग ट्रेंड्स. सो बेसिकली अगर आपने बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड में एडवर्टाइज किया तो एज अ क्लाइंट आपको क्या बेनिफिट मिलेगा, कौन आपके टिपिकल रीडर्स बेस है, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. फिर आपके जो वेंडर्स है, जो ऑन द ग्राउंड आपके वेंडर्स है, न्यूज़पेपर वेंडर्स, उनसे आपको कुछ मार्केट रिसर्च मिलता है क्या, फीडबैक मिलता है क्या कि लोग बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड पसंद करते हैं या इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स पसंद करते हैं, क्यों? इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स में क्या मिलता है उनको जो बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड में नहीं मिलता है, या बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड में क्या है जो इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स में नहीं है? तो ऑल ऑफ दिस इंफॉर्मेशन, हमारा पोजीशनिंग कैसा है, तो हजार चीजें हैं जो आप मेंटेन कर सकते हैं. सो the list of all of these things basically is part of MIS. So write out क्या क्या होता है MIS में. First, market planning, marketing planning. Benefits of MIS basically, it helps in marketing planning. इसमें पहला चीज, to make available insights, marketing insights, to make available insights on external environment as well as internal reality of the company. External environment as well as internal realities of the company. it helps tap opportunities and build defenses against threats. They're all strategic tools. Tap opportunities, किसी के साथ tie up कर सकते हैं, किसी web based company के साथ tie up कर सकते हैं, किसी के alliances कर सकते हैं, किसी cities में and so on, and build defenses against threats. अगर कोई takeover attempt कर रहा है या अगर so